Hello, this is Ben McGahee with McGahee Mathematics. Today's video we're going to look at perfect square trinomials. So we're going to see what perfect square trinomial looks like. So if you have a binomial square, we'll have a plus b squared. So when we have something that's squared, we multiply it by itself. So we'll have a plus b times itself, a plus b. And then we can FOIL, right? So we have a times a is a square plus a times b is ab plus b times a, that's ba, or just ab again, plus b times b is b squared. So we can combine the like terms. We have ab plus ab, that's like 1ab plus 1ab, a squared plus, that'll be 2ab, plus b squared. And that's our formula. For a plus b, that's a binomial square, you get a trinomial, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Now, if the sign is slightly different, let's say it's a minus b squared, the only thing that's going to change is the middle term. The 2ab is going to become a minus 2ab, so it still applies. And this will, of course, be a minus b times a minus b. And this will be minus and minus here. So notice that regardless of what the second term is, the b, whether it's positive or negative, when you square it, you're always going to get a positive value. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're doing these perfect square trinomials, is notice that the first and last terms are perfect squares and they're both positive. And then the middle term, the 2ab, can be either positive or negative depending on what this sign is here. So let's look at an example of a perfect square trinomial. And say you have x squared plus 6x plus 9. And so we want to factor this as, some binomial square. And we notice here that the middle term is positive, plus 6x. So we'll have a plus sign here. And the only thing we need to do now is determine, we know it's a perfect square trinomial. And we can identify it because we notice that x squared, that's x times x. So a, the value of a would be x. And then with 9, we have 3 times 3. So that'd be our b, right? It's 9. And we notice with the middle term, 2ab, if we multiply that, 2 times a is x times b is 3. So 2 times x times 3 is equal to 6x. So we see that this is what we get for the middle term. So all we need to do is plug in our a, which is x, and then our b, which is 3x plus 3 squared. That would be our how we factor the perfect square trinomial. X squared plus 6x plus 9 equals x plus 3. All of that squared. Okay, so let's look at another example. If we have y squared minus 16y plus 64. So we know that y squared is y times y, so that could be our a term. And then 64 is 8 times 8, and that would be our b term. So now we need to know, does the middle term 2 times y times 8, does that equal 16y? 2 times y is 2y, and 2y times 8 is 16y. So yes, this would be a perfect square trinomial. So the way we factored this is we do our thing, parentheses squared, and since our middle term is negative, we have a negative here, middle, and then this will go, a is y, and then our b is 8. So y squared minus 16y plus 64 can be factored as y minus 8 all squared. Okay, so that's how you do that one. There is one more example we want to look at, and we'll do it up here. We have 16t squared plus 40t plus 25. 16t squared plus 40t plus 25. So we know we're going to have something squared, and our middle number is positive, so we'll have a plus sign. So all we need to do is figure out what a and b are. So let's see here. 16t squared would take care of this term first. Is that a perfect square? I think it is. Well, we know 4 times 4 is 16, and then t times t is t squared. So we know that 16t squared is 4t times 4t. So 4t would be the a term. And then we know from 25, it's 5 times 5. It's perfect square. So that would be our b term, it's 5. Now, is it true that we use the formula here, 2ab? We have 2 times, or what's our a? 4t times 5 is b. Will this give us the middle number, 40t? So 2 times 4, t is 8t, and 8t times 5 is 40t. So it works, right? That's what we had here, 40t. So we know our a is 4t, and our b is 5t. So our final answer for 16t squared plus 40t plus 25 is 4t plus 5, all that squared. So that's how you do these problems with perfect square trinomials. So just make sure when you're looking at them, make sure that the first term and the last term are perfect squares, and also check to make sure that the last term is especially positive, because if it's not, can't be a perfect square trinomial. And then of course 2 times a times b, whatever those terms are, have to give you the term in the middle, or else it doesn't work. So there's something to look out for when you're trying to factor perfect square trinomials. So this has been McGahee with McGahee Mathematics. Thank you for watching how to factor perfect square trinomials, and then we'll move on to the sum and difference of cubes formulas, which is a little more complex, but once you practice a few, it's not too bad. So stay tuned.